how do you, as the CEO of a large diversified group, look at and plan for disruption? Now, mind you, the disruptions are both on the supply side and also on the demand side. Now, on the supply side, we know now that what we thought was a global supply chain is essentially a Chinese supply chain. And on the demand side, people's tastes are changing. The way products are being offered are changing. I think yesterday or day before, Dare launched its first autonomous tractor. People are looking at autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles. Airbnb is looking at more people working from home, so Airbnb bookings are changing. How do you sort of look at these transitions, and how do you plan and execute your idea?
So Shankar, this is one important aspect of reinventing business, which is how does one thrive in uncertainty? And that's what led to my comment earlier that the last 2 years have seen a lot more change that we've seen in the last decade, or maybe even more than that. It reminds me of this old game I used to play as a youngster called Whack-A-Mole, where something popped up, you knocked it down with a hammer, and 2 other things popped up. So you're constantly knocking things down with a hammer. And that's exactly the world we're living in today. The new car that we launched, the XUV 700, has 130 semiconductors. And every week we might get a call from one of our component makers that the semiconductor for this component is not available, so we can't send you this component. And our team has to then work through production schedules to say, well, we can produce a car, but we can't put the wireless charger in there. Or we can't put this other thing in there because we don't have that one. And how do you plan for that? And the lessons we've learned from that are first around leadership mindset. The positivity that we bring in terms of how do we tackle these problems. The second one is around scenario building and planning ahead. Even as we look at Ukraine, we have built various scenarios around potential impact to commodities and start planning for things 3, 6, 9 months in advance and have plan B, C, and D laid out as well. The third is around what I call optionality, which is build options, pay a certain price for it, and then we have the ability to double down the option. So these are things that we are doing to be able to thrive in uncertainty. And the final comment I'll make here is, this reminds me of Taleb's book from a few years ago called Anti-Fragility. And that really talked about the concept of not surviving in uncertainty, but thriving in uncertainty. And that's the opportunity for organizations. How do we become stronger, and how do we thrive in uncertainty?
So there's this quote that was often attributed to Lenin, that nothing happens for decades, and then in weeks, decades happen. So we are seeing all kinds of acceleration of adoption of technology, of practices, human behavior. So within your group, how do you deal with this whole new animal called work from home?
One thing we've always done well is had a lot of empathy towards our associates and have had the flexibility to meet their needs when they wanted to. Work from home is something that we're looking at closely in terms of what form should it take. Should it take a form that everyone can work from home whenever they want? Should it take a form that you have a couple of days where you work from home and 3 days in office? Because recognize the one important thing that's lost in there is the ability to create, to innovate, to be able to meet each other. I can get my work done for today by working from home or for the next week, but that's a transactional outcome. But if I really want to thrive in the organization, I need to build the relationships, because it's the relationships that's going to help me make the difficult actions done. And that's difficult to do to work from home. So that's part of what we're looking at right now. And the other aspect to that is fairness. Why should some people work from office and others work from home? So I don't have an answer to it today, but that's part of the discussion we are having internally, getting input from various others. And what we will come out with is some flexibility that allows people the balance. At the same time, that allows people the ability to collaborate, to build relationships, and to be able to get further in their careers, because that's important for everyone as well.
Yeah, ideas of India.